is kind of like I'm very nervous and trepidatious on one hand, because down the road we are going to work together and it's going to be good. I know it's going to be good. I'm not there yet, and this is all on me at this point, and I feel really bad about that. All right, because
No stress, sir.
no. It's not really. It's not stress. I've been very fortunate. Like I'm just gonna say that right now, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very, very fortunate in the sense that, um, as far as it goes, I've been the people I've had the opportunity to meet and work with. I mean, it's been very. I literally did a pitch today, and I got it immediately. It's called the power of asking, right? And the whole thing is, I just, I just ask, right? Just like, you know what? The worst they can tell me
Yeah,
is no, right? And it's got me interviews by
exactly.
Robinson. It got me the opportunity to work with you down the road. It's gotten me like my very first agent, like my very first time I got an agent to read my stuff was because I asked. Nothing special, nothing magical, nothing. I just asked, and the strangest thing to me
Exactly.
is, not many people do it. And like in someone like your case, it's like you're so talented. If you ask, you probably get all kinds of cool stuff, right? And that's just me being like,
Exactly.
like like and I just shrug, right? Because it's like it's not hard. I mean, if you had told me no, we might still be friends. You'd still be probably beta reading my one
Yeah.
story, right? So,
Yes.
yeah. Yay! Hello, Romo CR. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard.
Yep. I'm sending the message out right now because
No worries.
I'm still new to this whole like live stream stuff. So it's like, guys, I'm up, and
So
they're like,
good.
"Where are you?" And I'm like, I'm here."
Yeah, yeah. No, like straight up. Like, I'm expecting like you and like you did this for like 2 months. People be like, "Whoa, she's really, really good," and the amount,
That's the cool thing about Twitch.
yeah, yeah. Well, you're gonna
Yeah,
see
it's
the
like
draw here,
you.
Ramos. We're gonna get
It's
to it.
fun.
We're gonna shoot the breeze for a little bit because I have a big mouth. They even like gave me an award for it. So I mean, I have a big mouth. So so we're gonna do that for a little bit, but we will get to drawing. Well, I'm doing
Oh,
cards. I'm gonna be doing risk. I did. I'll show on some things I did earlier this week. This is my third of four drink and draws over. I was supposed to do an interview on Sunday. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So we're gonna definitely draw in a little bit, but we're just gonna talk. But one of the things about like I said, just asking and you never know what you're gonna get. Like I got to interview Spider Robinson because I asked, right? I don't know if you know who Spider Robinson is, but if you do, um, pretty famous sci-fi writer. I ended up like this is how my pitch worked. I told the story about how I got to interview him. He was checking out of a hotel looking for
yeah.
directions. I gave him directions. I'm just like, fuck it. I gotta ask him. He's right here. So Spider, would I have a podcast? Would you like to come on and be interviewed? Sure. Gives me a name, number, email, all that stuff, right? And we set up a phone call. Funniest
Yeah.
conversation about the White House I've ever had because he went to the White House for a
Wow.
dinner, right?
Wow.
And he had to get like one of these stupid ties because it was a black tie dinner and he had to wear a tie. But the only one he could
Yeah.
find was like a cuckoo clock style tie. It was like the most hilarious thing I've ever heard about the White House, right? And
Yeah.
so it was he was a hoot, and I all because I asked, right? So that was my pitch. I put my pitch out. I do another pitch out, and I already get a yes. I'm like, oh, that was fast, right? Like it was quick and easy. But again, you just ask. That's all it is, really.
You never know till you ask. Like if you don't put it out there, how are people gonna, even know in response to you? And like you say, worst thing they can do is say no. And actually, I was a little bit daring with that because I admire you for like um always like just putting yourself out there, and like you're such a go-getter. Like I'm still very much afraid sometimes, and like about 2 weeks ago, I wasn't feeling well health-wise, and then I just out of nowhere saw this post by one of the comic creators, and he was like, "Oh, I'm in need of an artist for a project ASAP," and I was like, "Okay." I sent him everything, and as soon as I sent it, in less than a minute, I got a no, like a flat rejection.
Yeah.
At first I was like, "Ow,"
Oh, right. Yeah.
but then after that, I was like, you know what? At least I know, because he gave me feedback, like, oh, it's a bit loose from what he's looking for, and I was like, oh, okay. At least it's like, oh, that this person works with like a different style, and like I have a different style, so I need to find someone with my style. So I was like, okay, at least I know. But yeah, it's just take that step to like walk over it.
Yeah, it's such a it's I think, and I actually was writing, it's like it's something all artists need to do, because like I said, no word of a lie, you're awesome, like legit, like you draw really good stuff, like no joke, right? It's just like I'm like, wow. And then when you told me, right, oh cool, Roma, see, definitely, yeah, if you want maybe somewhere down the road, you can come draw with me too. I'm not necessarily good, but I do enjoy it, and it's a cool way to showcase people that do different things. So, like I said, Anna and I will be doing pirates eventually. We'll get there, right?
Yeah, eventually.
yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there. I promise I would tell you like my antidepressant secret. So you can take coffee, and you can turn coffee into an antidepressant. This is how you do it. 3 ingredients: vanilla, honey, black pepper.
Wait, what? Honey and black pepper?
Here's how this works. This is the magic behind this. So vanilla hits all 4 parts of the brain. A lot of antidepressants, especially early on, were based off vanilla, because vanilla could hit all 4 parts of the brain. It's only a few things in the world that actually does. Number 1. So that's one. Honey has just cool regenerative properties. Like honey is the only thing in the world that never goes bad, like ever.
Right.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah, and you can actually use honey in a pinch to close a wound. You can actually do that with honey, right? You can do it. I'm not saying do it forever, because it doesn't take the place of a bandage forever and ever. But in a pinch, you actually can do that with honey, right? So honey's powerful shit. Now here's what black pepper does. Black pepper has an ingredient inside it that actually transmits straight to the brain. So you take the 3 together, use it in coffee. You can do it in tea too if you want to do it in tea, if you prefer tea. If you want to make it a little stronger, a peppermint tea. Peppermint's an oxidizer. Anyway, I play with chemicals. What can I say? But
I dig it. I like it.
But yeah, so what you've done is you've created. Obviously, if you are on meds, and this is the only precaution I'm going to make to anybody here, ladies and gentlemen, if you are on meds already when you are doing this, this stuff shouldn't mess with your meds, right? But yeah, right. If you are doing, like, it shouldn't. But on the off chance you have doubts, always consult your doctor. This stuff though shouldn't do that, and you do that in a little dose like that, you will feel good. So what I usually do, what I've been doing, my COVID combo is honey, vanilla, and a touch of copper. Right, and touch of copper.
Copper, like copper.
Yeah. Except it's in a liquid form. So in a small, again, tiny dosages, not like big dosages, but tiny dosages. It's an immune system booster and an IQ enhancer. Right? It's actually in tiny dosages. Right? Like really tiny.
I question the IQ enhancer though. I question that part.
No, it does stimulate the brain. It really does.
Okay.
It really, really does. I actually find if I know when I have too much, because when I start I start getting a little bit more impatient and start, like, again, a lot of people say it's like you never see me as an asshole. If I take too much copper, I do become one. It's actually really quick, because it's just one of those things. But the reason I'm doing that is it's a immune system booster. At a time like this, it's a good one. Like I said, I'm not as quick to go into like what's going on right now. I'm going to take my time with everything, the medicate, all that stuff. I'm going to see how it plays out this year before I even remotely think about doing anything. That's me, right? Everybody else can do them, but but this is what I'm doing to keep myself healthy and strong in a time like this. And it's a good mental health thing because again, vanilla hits everything. You do feel good. So but for you, if mental health's a thing, vanilla, black pepper, honey, either coffee or tea, whichever you prefer, you will find after about a few days of doing that, you will feel good about life in general. Like you will feel like I can bounce off of stuff, because you will be able to bounce off stuff a lot easier.
That's interesting. I do love all of those ingredients, but I've never tried to do it together. Like the coffee that I grew up on and still am drinking almost every day at my home. It's I got the black coffee. I would just strain it like the old school style in like a tin
Nice.
strainer, like in Vietnam. That's how we do it. And then I would just add condensed milk, sweetened condensed milk, and then add ice. And that's the Vietnamese coffee. For all of you out there, that's Vietnamese coffee. Add as much condensed milk as you need to sweeten it. There's no sugar, like the white plain powdered sugar. It's just the condensed milk, which is very sweet and sugary as is. But you were talking about copper, which reminds me, because when I was backtrack a bit, I was going through like depression, like about I would say 2 years now. 2 years ago, I was in like a very rough state, and then now I'm like I'm good where I am. Like I'm doing well where I am. But I was researching all kind of remedies. I was going through therapy, and I am still going to my therapist right now. But like I was on the side just trying to improve my health overall. Like because they say what you eat affects you too.
Big time.
And there was this one person who I came across on YouTube, and they say to drink water out of copper
Mm-hmm.
uh, wares. And I was like, oh, what does that do? And like you say, it does stimulate your immune system, and it makes you, it actually wakens your body, is what they say. And I was like, oh.
Well,
So I was like,
what has to be understood today is we live in our environment by and large today is an artificial one, by and large, right? There are the older parts of the world still has a certain degree of an organic environment, but if you're talking Western culture, we are in an artificial environment. That's just the way it is. So what has to be understood is there are things that we have still, but there are things that have been taken away. If you take back the things that were there originally, you will actually get stronger, right? Because now your body's getting stuff it doesn't normally have access to anymore. We don't think, again, large dosages, anything's a poison. It doesn't matter what it is. Small dosages are the right dosages. A lot of things that you would think are poison can actually be beneficial. It's a matter of doing some research, trial, and error. And but you'd be amazed how cheap health is. The big key with people with mental health, it's your resiliency. The muscles you have to be resilient and recuperate aren't as strong as someone like me who's just a cocky asshole. I can actually go and can bounce off stuff. And so the trick to that is you want to build it. Now, like other ways you can do it is your nervous system. It's your central nervous system. Restoring that would actually, it helps. Again, peripherally, it helps. Now, everything I'm saying here, ladies and gentlemen, does not deal with any psychological issues. It doesn't deal with any of that stuff. That actually requires therapy and a little bit of a come to Jesus meeting with yourself. None of that, what I'm saying here, will necessarily help with that. But what it will do is outside stimuli that hits you, you will be able to deal with better. They will make it so that you can actually handle those things a lot better while you're dealing with your stuff. Because one of the big things that happens too with mental health, it's really easy to be influenced by the outside as much as it is from your own problems. You know what I mean? So, does that make sense?
yep. And you're spot on. You're spot on with what you're saying, because I go to a therapist, and he said the same thing. It's like what I came there, even my session with him, everything makes it better, but it requires you to continue to be persistent with it, with whatever practices, and changing your ways of life and your ways of thinking to get you to the better place. But all these resources around us are things that contributes and we can utilize it to make our life better.
Yeah.
And that's just that. And I love what you're saying about like how the cultures like in other countries where it's less developed, they're still immersed in the old traditional ways. And like when I went back to Vietnam, they're still using the Nam medicine, which means like southern medicine. So that's more like the Asian herbs, and we use that to cure everything. We don't go directly to the Western medicine. And yeah,
Yeah, because that shit still works. A
yep,
lot of stuff like there's no. You can go to India and they have, and the way they actually treat their, like where they put these patients and stuff like that is actually better than what we do in the West, right? It's actually, it gets rid of way more stuff. We like
cuppings.
Yeah.
Cuppings. Now it's making its way over, but it's always been there.
Yeah, no, like this is nothing new. Like the
Yeah.
thing about Western medicine's philosophy for the last, one of the reasons I'm so hesitant with what's going on now is Western medicine's philosophy is largely about profiting off of symptoms, not actually dealing with causes. So, because it's cheaper, because it's more, if you deal with a problem, then you no longer go to a doctor because you don't need to, right? So, you and me, that's a better way of living. But for an insurance company, for a pharmaceutical industry that's constantly making new things all the time, it lowers their profit margin. So this is why, this is, again, me knowing how the pharmaceutical industry works tends to make me a touch more hesitant about Western medicine than most people, because I just say your system's fucked up. Now, that doesn't mean everything is fucked up, but it does mean that you need to approach Western medicine with a lot more scrutiny, because than Eastern. That's not saying Eastern's perfect, but there is, in some cases in Eastern medicine, thousands of years of trial and error. We are still in, not even in some cases, 100 years. So that has, and again, there's money in health. The only thing that makes more, now this is going to be the last depressing thing I say on this, hopefully this whole episode, but the only thing that makes more money than healthcare products in the world is guns. And that's so that's it. It's like number one is war, number two is health. And again, look at the nature of the business we live in, the business of health. They don't make that much money if people are well. And that's something that has to be always mentioned.
And that's, it's interesting. Like, I'm still in my early 20s. Yeah, I am still in my early 20s. And, I'm still relatively fresh out of school in a way. So, looking back at what they taught us in school, they don't cover these things. Like, I'm lucky to even at this age be aware of these, things, and just the focus in society now is just placed in such a negative downfall. And it's boistered as like a triumphant thing, and it's sad because, yeah, it's just like the basic necessity of health wise. I would think people would be spending more time in studying the ingredients, the herbs, how are those beneficial, what are the chemicals in there, and make it more publicized rather than all these Western medicine where it's like, what are those ingredients that you can't even pronounce? It's like it's more mainstream, and you see that in there. Yes, I am drinking.
No, we're gonna get there. Right before the stream, right before the stream, right before the stream started, like I said, I was talking over on her stream, right, and it was like, yeah, we're gonna draw. Now, I didn't say she was gonna drink alcohol because that's not, like, honestly, I have way too many guests that have been through their own. I will never tell anyone what to drink. I'm drinking coffee or water. right? Because that's it. I mean, I can have a drink. I am Canadian, and we do have issues with no. I'm teasing. I don't. To be perfectly blunt with me, I could go with or without, and that's I like that. I like that concept. But I let the audience kind of choose what they. If they want to have a shot of something cool, I'm not going to judge them. But if they're going to say, you know what, I'm just going to drink coffee. I'm not going to judge them. An's a grown ass woman. She can do what she wants.
Drink drink means liquid. It doesn't
Yes.
specify anything. Like I'm not at home, so I'm actually over somebody else's house and just hanging. So I mean, if I was at home, maybe I'll bust out my JD. Like I love my drinks. Like I love my alcohol drinks, but there's a place and there's a time. And right now it's like just 1 hour past noon, 1 hour and a half past noon. So it's still
Yeah.
too early.
Well. No. We really do. We outdrink the United States 10-1 AF Stewart. We really do. We got problems. We legitimately have problems. Not a,
Oh man.
oh no. So true story. Okay. I was living in Calgary. I went to Winnipeg. Just to put this in perspective, going from like say Texas to California. Just saying that like that kind of trip. I fly down. Go with my buddies. Now, I'm come from a mountaintop. I ain't getting drunk. No matter what you give me, I'm not getting drunk. But I'm telling you, I watched my buddies the first night drink. They were part fish. I'm not kidding you. They drank so much. I was like, how are you not dead? Like, and this is like this is me coming. I can't get drunk. I can literally have anything I want. But there's a point where you're like, you know what? I don't need it. Like I just don't. Right? And you're watching it, and you're just like, okay. Right? So it's a very like it's a very Canadian thing. Like we have issues with our alcohol. We really do. A lot of Canadian like. I would like again. If you look at our national average, the only countries that drink as much as us are the Aussies and the Germans.
The Aussie, yep.
Yeah, and like I said, but I will say this: America, unless you're talking craft beers, suck. Like your beers are terrible.
I don't drink beer over here. I never got around to beer.
Yeah,
Like one pint and I'm done.
yeah, it's all good.
And I could go all night with like whiskey, JD, Hennessy. Like give me all that. Like my first. I was
listen,
that.
when I do get the feeling we are going to meet in person someday, and when we do, listen, just make sure I'm taken care of and tucked in, okay? Because I feel like
You gotta do that to me.
okay.
Okay. Well, you know, for those who
okay? Deal?
those who have none, yeah, let's just keep it where we're conscious and be responsible drinker. Because I wasn't. The only time I delved into alcohol that bad was I was going through depression and I was with good company. So I mean, like I was sad and I needed to get loose, and I just had like a group of friends that was like, there. I trust my life to them, you know. And I just, yeah, I got wasted twice in my life, and that was it. But um, one of the most memorable time that if you met anyone who was around me or know me for a long time or was there that night, they'll say I was the nuttiest that night because I think we went bar hopping. I've never done bar hopping until then. Again, I'm in my early 20s. I'm past the legal age of drinking, so I'm good. But I was going around town here in Honolulu, and I was hanging out. Actually, Mog and Mail were there. They were my guardians at that time. But was just hanging out. I was drinking, and we went bar hopping. We ended up at a gay bar that has a public karaoke.
Okay.
And I don't know how many drinks I was in, but I was drinking like whiskey kind all night. And all I remember was, well, I actually didn't remember till someone showed me the clip next day. one of the guys in the bar walked up to me as soon as the Mulan I'll Make a Man Out of You song came up. He went straight up to me. I was like, of all the people, I'm the Asian sitting in the middle. So he handed me the mic and he was singing along with me. And next thing I know, like from the video clip, I'm pointing at him and I was like, I'll make a man out of you. And I was screaming that in the club and I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. But they were so good. Like they were good sports about it. They were singing and pointing at me too. But I've never done that in my life. And it got worse from there. I went home. I guess I was walking in the. I'm sorry. There might be a bleeper here, but I was walking in the road.
Swear, don't worry about it. You're a grown-ass woman. You can say what you want here.
So I was walking on the street with, again, my group of friends and Mel Mog, and they look way older, and I look like a baby in the group. I looked like a 12-year-old at the time, is what they said. And they're like, oh my God. I was like, oh, you guys are so awesome. I love fucking you all. I meant, I fucking love you all, but I say, I love fucking you all. And they were like, holy shit. They were like, cover her mouth. Who's this child? They're like, nobody's looking.
Oh, I So I can't even tell.
Oh, it got worse from there.
Oh,
wait, let me finish. I'm so sorry, but
no,
last thing I remember that night is I got taken home to my friend's place. I stay over. They tugged me into the sofa, and I looked up at both of them. I was like, I love you, mommy. And then I just went to sleep. Next thing I opened my eyes, and one of my friends walked down, and she sat on me on the sofa, and she was like, yo, and she's still hungover as much as I am. She's like, yo, you want to jump out of a perfectly good airplane? And I was like, sure, yes. I was like, there's no hesitation, no thinking. I was like, yes. And then we jumped out of an airplane. We went skydiving the very next day. Still hungover. I don't recommend it. I recommend the skydiving, but not hungover skydiving. It was good when you're out there. You're like, I'm on top of the world, and it's like, yay! Even the free falling was cool. And then they yanked the parachute, and you're like, oh, okay. The turning, when they start turning, and I was like, oh, it's coming out. It didn't come out for me, but my friend was just puking from the top. And I'm just like, oh yeah, disclosure. I drank last night. I didn't drink today, so I still qualify for this. And the guy was like, okay. So he just took me slowly down, and it hit when you landed. All your adrenaline is still running, and your body just gives way, and you're puking your throat out, and everything is coming out from every hole. Let's just leave it at that. And like, it was the worst feeling, the aftermath of it. So that was the worst.
No. So I'm planning on going skydiving when I'm 80, because I truly come on. I know we don't know each other that well, but do I actually look like somebody that truly really cares? I'm just gonna do what I want to do, and I'm not gonna worry about it, because that's a big part of who I am. I just like, you know what? This seems like fun. Why not? You only live once, right?
Yes.
Right now, that'll be me. I think all the way until I hit the grave. I think I just know that with myself, because again, I've come to terms with my own demons. I'm like, I'm gonna live life and do my thing, and that's it, right? It sounds to me, although I will say this, I'm glad you were with good people, because that is a downward spiral. Otherwise, that's a very big downward spiral, and you don't necessarily want that with depression issues. That way, alcohol is not your friend there. My first time I really got blackout drunk, so I can't even say what I said when I was blackout drunk, because, so just to give you an idea of my background, my dad and my uncle grew up in Detroit in the 60s. They were the white kids in the black neighborhood. I know swear words. Nobody else really knows. And when I was drunk, they all came out. Apparently, I beat Mario 3. I got into a wrestling match for a half hour. I don't remember a damn part of any of this, right? I don't remember anything like this, right? I beat Mario 3 drunk. I wrestled somebody. I was basically in that, from what I can tell, I was in like a front face lock the whole time. But even so, I wrestled somebody for a half hour. I woke up at a new friend's place, and I was like, how did I get here? I had no memory of it whatsoever, right? So it was just like one of those, I barely remember. I finally passed out. They kind of woke me up for taking me, and I'm too drunk to say, dude, this is like where I had this party. It's like my best friend. I was in the safest place on earth in that party environment anyway. But they took me, no man left behind, I think is what they said. And I woke up on a futon the next day. I remember this like that was like my first time getting epically blackout drunk. You're like me in this sense. When I do get drunk, I'm like a pressure cooker. Everything just comes out. Now sober, what I do is heavy metal concerts, because that's another way to let that kind of pressure cooker come out, let all that stuff out in a way that you're actually still sober, right? And you still get that feeling of, now and I go into the mosh pit, so I tend to get a little bit beaten up, right? But I'm okay with that. I mean, listen, after you get beamed in the head by a wheelchair because they're crowd surfing on top, like wheelchairs crowd surfing, you're fine with anything. It was really cool, like honestly, really cool thing. But that was me. It's like you find a way, like whatever that negative energy you have, you find a way to do it in a place where you can let it out in a positive manner. Now, for me, that's a metal concert, right? Now, that might not be you. I could actually see like not to be stereotypical, but like doing something along the lines of kickboxing or competing, or just like finding an avenue to let whatever those aggressions are out and then go. I could actually see that with you.
See, the thing is, I've always wanted to go into martial art. I never gotten there yet, but eventually, that's a goal still. I like to do martial art. I do like shadow kick by myself, like high kicks, just like to exercise and keep myself like fit, or like I do exercises just a minimal. But I enjoyed the hell out of those kicks. But I do want to get into martial art. What I do though, like you mentioned heavy metal rock, I do glam rock. I do songs like Toss a Coin to the Witcher, but like in the rock version, or like, I listen to like Nightwish.
That was great. I listen to them too.
Yeah, greatest show on earth. Oh my god. But yeah, I listen to those kind of things, and I would walk, like growing up in Korea, people there are always constantly moving fast. So I learned to walk fast from there. But I take it wherever I go now. So like when I'm upset or something, when I was still working my daytime job, which I quit, but for like health concern, but and also to study, I should say that. But I I get off the bus and I was just like speed walk home like in 5 minutes. A walk that takes me 10 minutes, I do it in 5 minutes. But I just walk the hell out of it, and I would listen to all kind of like rock music, and I was like, yes, get it out. And then I would hop in the shower, and it cools me down. But yeah, it's like you say, you always have to try and find something or an outlet where it's positive to let that, all those bad energy out. And for me, going back to art, that was my outlet for majority of the time. Why I draw, like, you know, if you go back into like my earlier drawings, you would notice here and there, especially like if you look at like Lady Death or Vampirilla, or Red, not, yes, Sonia, some of the pieces, but I think one that was most telling was when I did Purgatory, and what's her face? There's another one I did, but they're both, the way I drew them was very angry. Like, and people can pick it up right away, and I was like, oh god, I didn't know I was that angry, and in hindsight. But it also like helps me understand what I was feeling. Like I step away from it and I can understand what I was drawing at that time in the aftermath, and then I come to term with my feelings. Yeah.
Well, so there's three parts to that. Like we were talking about one of them, like finding the ways to get the energy out in a healthy way. It's one. Coming coming to terms with whatever you accept, whatever our demons, dark side, whatever you want to call it, shadows, like whatever you feel that is, it's part of us. And coming to terms with that is a big part of growing up. Kenzie just got the the latest Alice sample too. The artist for that. Yeah. So, but but then there's three. Using those negative things in a positive way and seeing the positive side of those things. For example, I have an ego, and that's not in the business of freelancing. You need that ego because that ego is going to be the part. Like you gotta understand something. Like I'm saying, my words are worth money. My words are worth money. That takes ego. That takes confidence. Right? A lot of people look at ego as a bad thing, but no, it's not. It's a good thing in that concept because, right, it's going to allow me to stand my ground too for getting like what I feel I'm worth. Now, it can go too far. I can be like, listen, I'm the greatest thing ever. I am like I can make my head so big that no one in their right mind would want to deal with me because I'm not. And there are people that do like it can. That is a trap that can happen to all of us. But using the ego to do business is not entirely a bad thing. And anything negative, like okay, how to use I'm attracted to pretty women sometimes, and that can be a positive and that can be a negative. Now I can use both in a good way. Right, I have again, I have my own anger issues, so I put those anger issues in my art or somewhere else that's in a constructive way of dealing with it. I'm not denying anything. I'm utilizing those pieces of myself that are there to help make me who I am. I'm not shunning them. I'm not rejecting them. I'm being openly, objectively honest with them that they're there, and I'm utilizing them in a positive way, right? It's something I actually in a video game I played, out of all things. Talking about you're trying to hold back on your strength. No, you got to let it out. You have to let some of that out.
Exactly.
If you do it. Do you control the urge, or does the urge control you? There's a huge, huge difference. It's when it controls you. Well, you still have to choose how to use it, and you got to be constructive with it. But almost certainly, when you're not in control of it, is when you're in the deepest troubles. So
constructive is the key word. And
yeah.
Oh my god, we can go on with this topic because
I know,
you hit so many points.
Well, I like having I enjoy a good conversation, and we are having a great conversation.
Yes.
Two. And like I said, I think it's pretty obvious just based on the fact that I talk to you on a regular basis. I'm a big fan of you. Personally, I'm a big fan of you. And I'm not the only one. I mean, I mentioned to somebody that I am working with, and they're like, damn, she's good.
Well, I mean, and I think what you said there was, important is, number one, constructive is a keyword. And number two, a balance. You have, if they're going back to the point of like yin yang, in Asia, that's what we grew up with. There's a balance. You have to have the dark to have the light, and you have to have light to have dark. One doesn't exist without the other. And it's up to you how to use it and how to keep it balanced. But you have to have all of that in order to live and traverse in life. In situation, life is just full of situations. Yep, and it's just a matter of how you deal with it. Um, Yeah, it's just there's so much we can touch on with that. It's
Well,
so good.
yeah, no, it just that. Well, I'm gonna segue and talk about my stuff for just a second here. I'm dealing like my Alice one. It's a big part of that. She likes it, but apparently I'm not. She's not the only one though. It's just it's that has been fun to write. Like really, really fun to write. So, and apparently fun for a lot of people to read. I'm getting all kinds of cool feedback from the beta.
I know. I'm actually reading it while I'm heading to my therapist. Like, how cool is that? So I came in ready. I was like, oh, I have all this in me. Bring it out. But the, again, just to interject a little bit. But you play with that idea of like egos and a balance in all the thoughts and personality that Alice has. That a regular person like myself would also like not sympathize we can relate to because we feel so similar to that, and that's the constant battle between her and the cat. Is it her or is it a cat? And it just plays back and forth, and I love that dialogue. But go ahead.
Actually, I gotta say, it's my favorite part of the story is the fact that Alice and the cat. So, for those people wondering what we're talking about, my story's premise is really simple. Alice opens Pandora's box, and a certain Cheshire friend now is inside her head. I mash up Alice in Wonderland with Greek mythology. Alice is Pandora, and this needs to be actually like it is crystallized in the story. The cat, I'll actually give this away, is Eris, goddess of discord. Right? After all, if you're going to have madness, you gotta have discord with along with the ride as well. And their relationship is literally the backbone of the whole story. I've been incredibly pleasantly surprised with where this story is going and gone. And also how I've played with the gods. I think my favorite thing I think I've done in the story so far, without spoiling too much, is the mock turtle, the weeping turtle. Do you remember that? That is that's one of my favorite things I think I've ever done. So, and I'm not going to spoil too much because the book will be out in November. And actually, I'll show you something really when we get off the air before you disappear tonight. I'll show you something really cool I haven't shown anybody yet. The only other person that knows is the actual cover artist. So that's it. So yeah.
Yes, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of it. And just the way you write, it's so vivid. Like I'm a visual person. Like when we talk or when I think of things, how I receive the message or how I think, it's not in words, really. Like it sounds weird, but it's not in words. It's just flashes of scenes and things like that. So like when I come across a writer, because I'm working with one right now too, but I'm just working on some smaller commission for him, not a book or a story yet, but the way he writes, I can see things vividly, and that's what I saw in your writing too. Just like the scene through the maze, the scene on that wreckage with the turtle in it. I was like, I can feel it. It's like, oh, that hit a hole. But I
That's
can
good. No,
see
that's what I'm going for. I was hoping to evolve because the first novel taught me to to be more emotionally invested in the stories, and that, like I said, and I never thought I would be retelling Alice, but it's been fun, right?
Oh, I love that story.
Yeah. So I think we should touch on this. Like, do you want to start drawing? We'll touch on this as we go and your little art journey a little bit.
Sure.
So
Yes.
before we begin, I don't know if you've seen some of the drawings I've been doing for Pirates for the last few days, but I'm proud of two of them in particular. This one.
Yes, I saw that one on Facebook.
Yeah. And the other one, it was all on Facebook as well. Goddess.
Okay, I haven't seen this, but wow, okay. You're going for a scenery.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not bad, huh?
Not bad.
Yeah.
Keep going at it.
Yes, no,
Keep going at it.
I swear. For those people watching, listening, here's the thing. My very first art lessons when I started to drink and draws did actually come from Anne herself. So.
Oh, okay.
It's true.
That's right.
Yeah. We're coming back doing it again, but this time right? I think we talked a little bit more than last time. Think, maybe not. I don't know. I have a big mouth. It begins to go. So
It's okay. If you put us together in the room and we have some good drinks, we'll
oh,
probably go all day, all night.
I might be in trouble. I don't know. I might be in trouble with that. I see the party girl come out. She might boss me around. Well, you're probably gonna boss me around anyway in real life, but that's okay. I'm all right with that.
It's okay. If you know anything gets out of line or whatever,
Yeah, I guess
have friends here, or like you can.
You'll handle me. I'm pretty sure. You
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been going with trying various Magic the Gathering cards when I'm doing pirates. Now, obviously, I'm not anywhere near to that kind of skill level, but it's always good to match yourself up and kind of just see what you can do. So.
Oh yes, I see. That's the thing. Whenever I draw, we're gonna get into it, but like growing up, trying to learn to draw, I didn't have like proper lesson. The most I had was just the middle school and high school art classes, and you get the basic lesson like here are the colors, primary colors, complementary colors, lines and dots, and how to do shadings. You got cross hatching, but they don't like go and carve you into certain modes, or like they'll go and critique your work in detail where like put you at an advanced level. So it's just like the very basic rudimentary lessons that kids get nowadays. So that's what we all kind of grow up with. Some of us don't, but taking that little bit and your interest in drawing, what I did was, there's the internet. I apply that little bits and try to understand what I'm looking at, all these reference photos, all these other artists' work, and I always go for people that are like way advanced. And I'll spend time just trying to like understand what they're drawing and like not exactly copy it, but try to replicate something similar or the same effects or like the sceneries. And what you're doing when you're doing that is understanding. You're teaching your brain to understand what your eyes are perceiving. That's what it is. That's basically it.
Which is really, really cool. I'm actually going to send you something because I just think that the magic card text will make you laugh. Look at your private messages. You'll see. It is. Okay. I'm not drawing that one, but I just read the card. It was just like, she would appreciate this. I think she'd enjoy this. This would be a card she'd play herself, even if she never played Magic.
Whenever you speak, you must do so like a pirate. If you don't, you lose the game. Oh my god. That's right. I might.
You would. You totally would. It's like, you're a pirate the rest of the game. Arr. Arr.
I don't know how to do pirates talk, to be honest. Like, I feel like I'm gonna butcher. See, that's the one thing that's my weakness, speech. Like, nope, not now, Grandma. Hold on, let me pause this.
No worries.
Okay, there you go. But family, this is what happened when you have families all over.
Hi, Aunt Grandma. I'm Josh.
I turned it off. But what was it? Yeah, pirates. Yeah, I can't mimic or talk in voices like that. I admire people who can. That's my one weakness.
Well, I don't know. See, after what we've heard here, maybe not. We get Party Girl on to play. Maybe she's got the voices nailed down. I'm teasing. I would make. No, here's the thing. Like something you said earlier. Your first language is visual. Not like you see the world, you process all these images, you see the details, and in a perfect world, that's how you communicate. You can speak. You're not afraid to talk. You're a very eloquent speaker, but it's also not necessarily your first go-to. And because it's not your first go-to, you having this ability to sound like a pirate Now you could. I think you'd be an amazing pirate. You'd be a great captain. Captain on of the Sky Pirate ship. What you call it? What it's called the ship. What you call it? Right. But much like anything else, right? You have to look at your weaknesses and you have to try to turn them into a strength, right? Once upon a time, so when I was a kid, this is how old I am. This is before the days of the computer had taken over completely. My handwriting was terrible. So what they would make me do is they would put like a square block on the pencil to help
Yeah.
me do it better.
Oh.
Right, because that's how they would fix handwriting back in the days. They would make you write out stuff. They would right. Because it was a weakness. It was a legitimate weakness I had. My hand, the coordination in my hand was a lot. I had to work a lot harder to get it than say, right. But I'm also living proof. Like if you practice, you can get confident at it. At the very least, yeah, I did Speedster Pirate as you saw earlier. I did Goddess Towing a pirate ship, and even though it's not necessarily at your skill level, you can still get the general idea. Turning weakness. Now, you might sound like like a pirate light when you first really get into the pirate voice, but if you practice it long enough, you do it, and you would do it well, right? Maybe even like you do it like in like an accent you're comfortable with, right? I'm assuming you speak Korean and Vietnamese.
Not Korean.
Not Korean.
I live in Korea, but I didn't pick up all of it. I can only say a few phrases to get around. Like I can tell a taxi driver how to get to my home. That's about it. And
Well, that's fine. That's fine. So I mean, if you want to be like truly original, then like your native tongue's Vietnamese, be a Vietnamese pirate. That would be awesome, right?
oh my god, the only thing that's the thing is I don't even know how to do the Vietnamese accent. Like I probably have it, but then it's not. It's barely there, or it's there in an odd way.
No, that's okay.
Like,
But you speak how you speak. It doesn't really matter. Like the whole point is, right? Figure out a way to make it fun for you. Like even if it's like there's one thing doing this has taught me, and that's this. It's not about how you sound compared to everybody else. Here's the point. Are you having fun? And if the answer is yes, then just keep doing it. Eventually, here's the beautiful thing. All right? No one's going to care tomorrow if you sound like the worst pirate ever today. No one's going to care. I promise you, no one's going to care. Number one. Number two, right? And again, this is what this has taught me as I've been doing this, right? Is when you have fun at something,
yeah,
sooner or later you do just get good anyway. It comes with practice, right? So if you want to sound like a pirate, I know this, no one else is going to dare try to stop you, right? And first off, and second off, right? And second off, you do it well, right? Right. Eventually, you will start doing it, and where people will get what you're doing and saying, and it will be incredible, right? The whole way through it. So, I mean, that would be my advice to you. I mean, Lord knows I'm not perfect on this, and here's the thing about me. I certainly am not afraid to look bad, right? I just go out and just be me, and I don't worry about it. But there is a freedom in that. So I mean, if you want to be a terrible sounding pirate, you know what? Nobody worth anything is going to get in your way. You're terrible at it. So what? Just having fun, right? We're not kids anymore. And so I mean, if any adult wants to get in the way of you sounding however you want to sound, honestly, that's on the adult. I mean, it's not my fault. The adult, right, has no sense of fun. I mean, hey, listen, I'm sorry life beat the crap out of you. I really, really am. But don't get in the way of people who actually are trying to have fun in this life, right? So that's my attitude. Now, grant you, I may not be the right guy to have this conversation with because right? Go for it.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
for it.
I mean that's the thing. You're right. You just reminded me. It's about having fun and like actually for the first time in my life, I felt like I came to this realization. That's like a couple weeks ago. So I'm fairly new to it. Where it's like it's almost after my depression, going to therapy and getting on this path of like just art again. Um,
Yeah.
I it's almost like I was given a second chance at like just life overall, like to have fun, and that's what I wanted. Like I grew up because of the military stuff life. Your friends come and go really fast, and you're constantly having to be independent and like just a lot of people out there, I think, whether or not you're in the military, you would have to go through this journey too. And when you are given the chance to take that step back to enjoy life, it's like it's important to take it and finally do
Yeah.
it. Because it's almost like you're always begging. There's I think there's a meme out there where they're like, I prayed a lot to God and He finally gave me what I want, and I'm still not having enough. Or like
Well, yeah.
God is like, what else you want?
Well, here's the
Yeah.
thing, right? Like let's talk like my own life goals. If I can keep doing what I'm doing in terms of pitching and getting regular work, now I obviously I know there's going to be rough points along the way. There always is, right? But if I can keep maintaining a certain degree of work and like getting jobs, guess
Hmm.
what? I can go anywhere I want. Do you know what's next for me? So I'll be like, so Anne, where's a good place a beachfront can go to in Hawaii? They want to stay here for like 6 months, right? Because if I can do this, like what I'm doing, I can do it anywhere,
Yep.
right? Right?
Yep.
So it's like, well, I'll be like, okay, so where can I go? What can I do? And like just go with it and just be yourself and just enjoy the process of just being wherever I want to be, doing the things I want to do. Life's way too short, and it's expensive no matter where you go now. Well, the thing about that means if everywhere is expensive, you might as well just go where you want to go. Because honestly, fuck it. It's not like
Yep.
it's going to make a difference in terms of it's not like it's going to make a difference in terms of cost. It's not going to make a difference in terms of cost. Why would I like worry about it? Just go where I want to go, do what I want to do. No one can tell me not to and not to do those things. So I mean, and that's it. Like we have one life. Like at one point, at one we are all have a limited amount of time. We're all going to meet so many people. We're going to do so many things. So guess what? I'm going to find what's most fun and gratifying to me because you know what? That seems worthwhile. The rest, I'm too old. I don't give a crap. That might sound really like simplistic, but honestly, you'll go if you have that attitude. I don't know what can stop you.
Right. At the end of the day,
Yeah,
it's like what matters. You gotta identify that.
yeah,
And
exactly.
I'm just, it's interesting because you're talking from a standpoint of someone who's like a bit older than me, and I'm just like a baby still. It's coming out, and then the perspective, it's not that much different.
Mhm. You go through the ringer. Everybody has this idea that like I think one of the biggest lies we all live under is the American dream, and this idea that everything is going to magically work out. What I've noticed, people that get everything they want in the American dream, they're getting drunk because they're trying to look for what's next in life that's worth doing because they've got everything they were supposed to get. Well, I mean, so what are they looking for? They're looking for what makes life worth living. We are all seeking like the best qualities of life.
Yeah.
So what is that for people? What is that for you? What is that for anybody else? Maybe for you, somewhere down the road, you might say, you know what, that might be me getting married and having kids. I mean, hey, lots of people do that, and lots of people are happy with that. Maybe for you, you'd be like, I want to travel the world. I want to meet interesting people. I want to learn all the nasty swear words on the planet, right? And it's a great way to
Right.
make it's a great way to make friends, by the way. Just saying. Um, but all of which to say is, you get older, you realize that there's no one magical right answer to happiness. For everybody, that's a little different. So the what's important then is that people get the freedom to figure that out, what that is. Because once if you get that freedom, right, and you'll find that answer, right? You'll get to choose your answer. Um, because life has this tendency to give us what we want. So be very thoughtful about what that is, because because you will get it, like you will. So try to think of it in terms of, okay, what will make me happy, and sometimes honestly you have it's always been in front of you the whole time. So that's been my experience in this thing called life. People here might disagree with me. I don't know, but that's how I kind of see it. And you know what? It works for me. So now you'll find your own
Exactly.
answer, and maybe it'll be better than mine. Good. You tell me. I'll learn. I'll learn from you happily.
No, but that is the sentiments that I sound off with, where it's like what you ask for, you do tend to receive. So
Yeah, that's
just,
right.
it might not be clear, but it's there. And how you ask for is not just with words, it's like what you do, what you put efforts into, and
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Absolutely.
and it's not. And a lot of times, it's like what you really want. You think you want that, but the message is more than that. Um, like say, I want, uh, like I always wanted, like a story from childhood is I grew up in a house where there's not a lot of space. We were cramped in, and we shared one small little room, kind of like the one I'm sitting in, but
Yeah.
there were like four of us living in there, and I never had my own space. But I always like wished on my birthday. It's like anyone asks, like, what do you want? What do you wish for? It's like, oh, I just want a desk by a window where I can sit and study.
Mm-hmm.
And I finally got it when I moved here. And once I got it, I wasn't exactly happy.
Yeah. Why
What
not?
I wanted was fresh air
Yeah.
and an open space to thrive. And that's what I really wanted.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the message in what you want, you gotta really analyze it. It's like, and some
Mm-hmm.
people is like, I want this person to like me, or I want uh to be this and that person. It's more than that. It's like you're lonely, and you want companion. It's not particularly that person, and that companion might come via another person or another form of like relationship. It could be a friendship, it could be something else. Things like that is what I
Absolutely.
come to appreciate. Because like my boyfriend now, I thought, like about a year or two ago, I probably, he wouldn't have crossed my radar. Like he wasn't exactly my type. Um, and just all of a sudden, we hit things off, and um, he's like the best balance in my life right now, just personality wise, minus everything else. And I was like, yep, what I wanted was someone who would support me and like someone who respect me as much as I respect them. That kind of thing. So the message is in there.
Yeah. Well, and however it goes with you, it'll be a great experience for you, right? If
Yep.
he might be the person you love forever, and that might be where it's going, and that's awesome, right?
Yep.
Like for me, it took me a long time to get to the point where I was ready to pursue a relationship, right?
Mhm.
But now for me, it's like, well, I need to find someone as crazy as I am, at least in this one sense, that will let me do the things I'm supposed to do, right? Because I am probably the ultimate free spirit, and I'm gonna need someone that can respect that part of myself. But that all said, right, I realized like
Mhm.
it'd be great to meet someone that would understand kind of like what I'm doing, how I'm getting there, what I'm working towards. It'd be nice. It would be really nice. But you gotta,
Exactly.
yeah. Um, but again, it's also like it's gotta be the right person too. Because if it's the
Yep.
wrong person, like all the stuff I'm doing will go in a direction that I would be not very happy about. But again, that's me dealing with my own psychological issues, and I realize that as I get older, and this is a big part of it too. It's figuring out the parts that your parents raised you that are worth keeping, and
Yep.
figure out the parts that you have to unlearn because they're not always right, and you have to. That's a hard thing to learn, right? Because sometimes you're gonna be like, I'm gonna learn this because it sucks, and it's like, nope, there was a reason for that. Damn
Yep.
it, you're right. Shit, right?
Yep.
And then sometimes you're like, nope, this isn't my psychological issue. This is yours.
Exactly.
Yeah, and
That's what they call the inner child.
yeah,
What you pick up from your parents.
yeah. So I've learned that I do not want to be like my dad and my mom in the sense of I'm going to be someone that wants to trust people, and I'm going to be someone that's going to be worth trusting. That's the stuff that's like I've had to learn. It's like, oh, okay. Now that I've kind of learned this, it's like, hey, I'm ready to date now because I'm not going to be caught in quite the same mindset that both my parents were in. You know what I mean? So,
Right.
but that takes a long time, right? To recognize. And even someone as old as me, it's like, you know what? I still got lots of shit I got to figure out. All right, it
Exactly.
never ends. It never ends. So that's what I've learned.
Yep. And that's called living too.
Yes.
You go through life, you're bound to run into situations where it forces you to reflect on um, yourself, your surrounding,
Hmm.
and move
Absolutely.
forward from there.
Do you want to be this way the rest of your life? And sometimes the answer is yes. Sometimes the answer is nope.
Nope, not today.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Uh, but I mean, again, we all have to kind of figure out what those things are for all of us, right? So, I think I made her a little too busy, but she is actually kind of busy on her gear and stuff too. So, done okay. Just I'm still boobs still kick my butt. I've noticed that. I still gotta get better at drawing boobs. But
I'm still struggling with it, and believe it or not, because sometimes, okay, so I when I was going through my phase of drawing a lot of boobs, I worked at a car dealership on the service side, and I got all these uncles who are mechanic, and of course they're men, right? They're kind of hard and not the softest guy.
No,
And
they're not clergy. They're not clergymen for sure.
yeah, and they came in and they would see me drawing these boobs, and they're like, "Why they look so big? They look like they plastic. They got the sag." They're like that. That's what the uncles here said. Like,
It's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna
look at
fall off.
them sag, soft boobs.
Well,
They're
no,
like, they're like,
well,
they're like, I'd like to see them tits bigger. The comment. That's what they would say. And I'm like,
that's
okay.
hilarious.
And that's how I got my critiques on boobs.
I want them bigger. I want them smaller. I want them saggier.
Exactly.
And you're like, shut up, because you don't know what you do. You don't know what you're talking about. It's like, and everybody's like, I know what kind of boobs I like.
I know.
And then you're like, yeah, okay, about that. No, no, I've learned that. Like, again, I'm a guy. I definitely do like boobs. Right? I mean, it's definitely a thing. It's a thing. But it's for me. I've learned that's like, you know what? I enjoy the proportion based on the woman I'm looking at. It's not the size of the boobs. It's the woman carrying them, right? So.
Yeah.
Sure, I'll get me in trouble somewhere, but it's true. But it's the truth. I mean, when you get right down to it, it's like honestly, it's nice, but I've seen it. It's like if they're really big, I actually kind of feel for the woman because that's a lot of weight they're carrying. So
Oh, I heard, like, I'm a small-chested girl, but like I hung out around friends or like coworkers that had like big triple D. And I'm like, whoa. In Vietnamese, we call that, we say that when someone has like full bust like that, we call them, we say you have full electricity and water.
yes,
Kind of like a house. You got a
yeah,
nice front lawn and you got a backyard. Ooh, your house is set. That's how they compliment like women in Vietnam sometimes.
okay, that's what
What? She's your girl? Oh, she's your house? Man, you got full water and electricity right there.
yeah, it's like dang, but it
Yeah,
hurts.
because growing up in countries like that, to have a house is like the most satisfying thing for them, like the best thing they
Yeah,
could get. So that's why they compliment women like that.
yeah, full house, man. It's like dang, I like that.
Yep.
Yep. Sure do, but I also know like it hurts. Like they're too big, they hurt, right? And
Yep.
it's just something like you pick up on. Like, how's your back? And then when some of them are like, wow, most guys don't even think to ask that stuff. I'm like, yeah, it actually hurts. I know. But
Hurts your back. That's why women in pregnancy or like when us girls are on our muddy, which is period, menstrual cycle, muddy, um, our breasts do get bigger
mhm.
and there's so much more weight. Like even though it's a little bit gains, it's like, oh,
Yeah,
where
it's
is all
it's
this?
because you're not used to it. It's because you're not used to it,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, you're just not used to it. So it's like, oh, how is that going? It's like painfully because
Yep.
it's a weight increase and it hits the back and everything else, and you're uncomfortable, and which already adds to a very tough situation, even tougher, right?
Yep.
It's like, oh my gosh, it's like, yep, you learn lessons. And as a guy, bring chocolate because that might help you, might save you from getting killed. Just saying.
I I crave for chocolate.
Yeah.
I'm definitely do that one girl.
No, it's like, hey, listen, it's okay to bribe them during this period of time because you do want to keep your skin a lot intact. It does. These things do. Um, these things do happen. So you just kind of want to yeah, just I like staying alive myself. That's me. That's that. Again, I admit it. I'm a coward, but I mean, I just know. It's like, you know what? I like having my limbs and happy. You know, happy wife, happy life. That's a very true thing. You know, so
Yep, yep,
yeah.
yep.
No, I never expected talking to you. We'd be talking about boobs and happy life, happy wife. I never thought we'd actually go there, ever. That's
Okay, so I'm known to like flip the conversation in
okay.
that direction.
No, it's
Like
okay. It's
you
okay.
get me talking, and then somehow we will end in that route.
It's okay.
I don't know. It always comes out like that. But
It's all good. I don't mind. I really don't. It's like, hey, I'll talk that stuff with you. It's like no big deal. Like it's
because
just
for
one of those
me,
things. It's like it's just one of those things. Like I just didn't expect that with you. It's like, oh, okay.
I used to be really shy about talking about those things because, again, growing up
Yeah.
Asian, conservative, and just um, thinking back on like my birth was actually an accident. My mom didn't know anything about like birth control or like things to protect herself, stuff like that. And so I found that it's important for me to be freely talking about these things. And they're not in an ill manner or anything.
No, God
It's
no.
lighthearted, but also like
Yeah.
I ended up teaching my guy friends about some of these stuff where it's like,
Okay.
hey, these things happens, and if you come across a lady, you just beware and like know how to handle yourself. They're like this and that, and so like I find that necessary. Like I had talks like that with my boyfriend too. It's like I didn't think I could do it, but then now I'm like talking about it as if like I'm the pervert sometimes.
No, no. So like, so I always ask, like, I always tend to ask questions with any girl I date because I like, and sometimes it's to my benefit. Like I tend to always with the women I'm dating, I always tend to ask them what do they like in terms of like their pleasure, because it's one, it's considerate, but two, it's just like you know, you might learn something new, right? So at the same time, and three, but you have to be aware of these things. It's just the way it is in these days. Is you just have to be aware that these things here, and they're part of life. I mean, let's just be honest. Just they're a part of life. There's no ifs, there's no ands, there's no buts. So you can pretend that they are not there, but I mean, it's not realistic. Let's be real about that. I mean, you're going to come across them in your picture perfect world, and really, I mean, it's the mark of a good partner. Like, one, are they willing to learn something, and two, right? You're sharing stuff to protect, ultimately to protect you and them. It's like it's to
Exactly.
everybody's best it's to everybody's best interest. So yeah, it's always a good thing. So
Yeah, and for those who watch this podcast or later rewatch it,
or
it's
listening,
this is the kind of conversation I have as an artist with people. It's
yeah,
not even about art. It's mostly about
yeah,
life, and we draw from life.
yeah,
But yeah, it's like while we're on that topic, it's like that's what I've been dealing with in terms of like my health issues this past 2 weeks.
huh,
Um, it, I'm on something they call Nexplanon. That's the birth control that goes in your arm. So I actually have it. I don't know if we can find or see it. It kind of popping out right there. There's a rod, but yeah. But that's the rod right here between my two finger. I have a rod under my arm. There you go.
yeah. I see it.
So that is the birth control. Anyways, it stays in there for 3 years. Doctor, I don't know if they can or would allow you to take out and replace anytime sooner, because that's why I want to go in. I have to go back into my doctor to get that checked up still. But what happens is that 20% of the women who are on it, like myself, do not have menstrual bleeding. We have all the other symptoms, but we don't have menstrual bleeding for usually, what I looked up was like about 2 years. I've been on it for like 2.5 years. And now I'm starting to have it, and it's irregular period bleeding. And it is
Okay.
scary. So any girls out there on it, don't be afraid. Because just monitor what's going on in your body. Usually, women are supposed to bleed about a week, a month. Each month, you bleed for about a week. And
Mhm.
then that's it. I ended up bleeding for a week, stopped for a week, and then I ended up bleeding again for another week.
Which,
And
sorry, I was.
during that time, you're losing a lot of blood in proteins and nutrients.
Mhm.
So it makes you weak. And I was really weak and lightheaded where I couldn't really function at all. Um, what
Yep.
you gotta do then, if you're on it and you come across this problem, is to bulk up on protein.
Mhm.
Eat like my brother eats, is what I was told.
Mhm. Yep.
Eat like a football player.
Yep. It
Steak,
helps. It
red
does
meat.
help.
Yeah. Because like at that time I didn't know what was going on. This is my first time having this kind of trouble. I came up to my boyfriend. I was like, I need blood. Bring me your blood. I need blood. And he was freaking out. And he was like,
Yeah.
no.
So here, check with your doctor about this. Something that might help you. I don't know if it will, and I'm not 100% sure it will, but something that might. Uh, selenium.
So, what?
Selenium.
Selenium. Okay, I'll check.
Because what selenium will do with women is it helps regulate their bleeding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know because that's what I have to do. I've never had to regulate my bleeding. That's the thing. I was a healthy woman.
Oh yeah. Oh no, no. Like
Yeah.
I said, this is like what's happening. What's happened to you is your body. Part of what's happening is, I mean, how long you didn't bleed for 2 years, right?
Yep.
So when you didn't bleed for 2 years, so kind of now it's all coming out. And so what you want to and so what you want to do is you want to regulate it because it's got to come out, and it's good that it's coming out.
Yep.
It's an uncomfortable part of the process, but it actually cleans out your system. That's one of the functions of the menstrual cycle is it helps clean you out,
Yep.
right, of some things. Well, your body's like, I haven't done this for 2 years. I'm going to have to go and get myself regulated again, right?
Yep.
Which is not a bad thing, right?
Yep.
So that's kind of what you're experiencing right now.
Yep.
So something that actually regulates your cycle might work. Check with your doctor on that bad boy though before you do it because it might go the other way, and if it goes the other way you'll bleed more. I better you just get it regulated somehow, some way. I'm not a
Yep.
doctor, but I do know some things. So it's just like one of those things
Yes.
that might work. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Then don't do it. But I mean, if it does help you, yeah, it might make that a little bit more comfortable and a little bit more bearable.
And
So
that is exactly what the doctor got to check for me. Just make sure that everything else is good. Because sometimes when you're bleeding, it also because you have tears or certain things out there that is not supposed to be there, and it just causing problems. So they're just checking up on that, and it's good. But yeah, things like this I'm learning, and like it's nice to like talk about openly. Before my mom would be like, "Why are you talking about it in public? You dirty mouth." And I'm like, this is normal, mom. This is going on.
mhm.
And other people might have it too. And it's good for them to know too.
Yeah. No, you want to see what I've drawn so far?
Yes.
This is the pirate I drew.
Oh, nice. Almost look Japanese from afar.
Yes, I'll take
It
that.
is?
No,
Yeah.
it's not Japanese. No,
But
it's not. But I'll take it. I'll take it. It's like
yeah,
no,
it looks Japanesey.
I'll take that. I will live with Japanesey. That's right, folks. I've been drawing pirates for last three straight drinking draws. I was supposed to do an interview yesterday, but she's going to be now in August, which is totally fine. Sunday, having a day off on a Sunday is actually kind of nice, right? So you, much like me, are pursuing a freelance career from what I'm gathering.
Um, not. I'm at a crossroad where I don't know where I'm at right now,
Oh,
to be
okay.
honest. So what I've taken, I brought this up in my therapy session as well, and like we were talking earlier on, you know, I'm at an age and a point in life where I don't have a lot of responsibility, and I have this urge to learn, and that's the perfect combination. So I just take this time in my life to explore and learn and do stuff.
Yeah, which is totally normal.
And, and like it's not like I'm not productive.
Okay.
I am doing things, right? Because I originally went to school for cybersecurity. And it didn't even start with cybersecurity. Like my whole life is always like bouncing around. I don't know where it will end, but I just trust that if I do the work, it'll take me there.
Mm-hmm.
um
Yep.
but yeah, I wanted to go into architecture all the way since I was like in middle school, and my whole high school think that I would be some kind of great architect one day, right? And nope, I couldn't make it to the school in Australia. That's where I wanted to apply, but there were complications with stuff with family, so I never could apply there. And I ended up going to an online schooling way before COVID. But I did my whole 4 years online, and I wanted to go into computer science because once I found out that I couldn't go to an architectural school, I picked up another interest, which was in coding. I was playing with kits like Arduino, and I was programming traffic lights, just like the very basic stuff like that. And yeah, I wanted to sign up for computer science, and they didn't have the program with the
Really?
school for some reason when I signed up. So I picked the thing that was closest to it with the intention of just finishing my major courses, and well, not the major courses. I mean, like my what you call it, just the very basic stuff, like your core courses. There you go, your core courses, and then transfer. That was my intention. But then after writing a few essays in cybersecurity, I was like, oh, now I'm sticking with this. I wrote up reports on like policy management, um, in terms of like cyber practices in corporation, and just I wrote essays on um, strategic methods for counterterrorism on cyber landscape. So I was like, okay, this sounds good. This is something I like.
Anh Vu, cyber terrorist destroyer, right? Great savior
And
of us.
cyber terrorism, it's more, just theories and practices that I was writing about. I wasn't so much in programming or hacking or things like that. Now I am learning all of that by myself online. So
Good.
that is why I quit my daytime job too. So I can refocus on that and take my certs and whatnot.
So,
Um, but that's where I intend to continue. I don't know where I'm going with that either. I'm just still learning. Everything
so
just feels like it's not making a lot of progress, but I am doing things.
you're doing things. So,
Hmm.
so where does your art fit into this? I'm sure your therapist has asked you the same question.
Yep. So I still go back and forth with this issue all the time. Sure, many people would fall into this rabbit hole like me too, and that's okay. Um, what want to do with art is I don't like when my art becomes something of work, or like something that makes me hate it. So that means that if I'm drawing things that I don't appreciate or don't enjoy, then it will show. Then why am I gonna do it, you know? And like if it's for a client or a customer, that's like I'm cheating them out too. So I don't want to do that. So I'm gonna still do art because I can't not do art. I try that, but I can't. Just my life is like that. So what I'm doing is just picking up commissions, any small freelance stuff like that where I appreciate the work
Okay.
and give my all.
So I have a big question for you. Are you ready for the big question?
Yes, sir.
What do you love to draw? What do you love? Like
Well,
when you what's your love? When you draw, what do you love more than anything else to draw? I mean, you draw amazingly hot and beautiful women, right? I don't know if that's your love though. So like, what do you love about it?
the story.
Mm.
Almost everything that I draw, even the food, has a story, has a feel like I'm setting a scene in my head. Growing up in Vietnam, I watched a lot of cartoons, television, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to watch like Doraemon or like Sakura Card Capture. And I was just, it's also part of like uh, how you're coping with what's going on in your life. My life was chaotic with everything going on in terms of family. And that's how I cope with it. I I just immerse myself in all these stories. And before I drew this kind of art, I was drawing anime because that's what I was introduced to first. And every single character I draw, there's a story playing in my head. There's a personality, the way they talk, all of that is playing out in my head. And that's why I draw. It's just like an escape.
Ah, well, okay. Well, I have some thoughts and ideas, but this is your own journey, right? So, would you like my input, or would you rather just figure this out on your own? Because I feel you're somewhere in between there. You want to figure it out on your own, but you also don't mind a little input.
Yeah, no, the input's always good.
So, here's my thought. And then I'll get back to drawing something in a bit. But I enjoyed my Japanese pirate anime pirate kind of concept there.
It's good. I love the details. I love how you're like playing with more details now.
Yeah, starting to. So here's the thing. Okay. So this I am legitimately now. Some of this money hasn't shown up yet. Some of it will show up next month. Some of it will show up this week. I've essentially talked myself into jobs that pay me out as of right this minute in the week. So I got laid off, right, from a day job. Yeah. So I'm okay to reinvest get my money saved up and go back into freelancing again. So I got laid off last week because of a chip shortage, and I'm laid off for another 2 weeks. In the week I've been laid off, I have guaranteed myself $1,000 as a freelancer. Okay? And there's no real magic secret to how I did this, other than the fact that I made decisions on the kind of stories I was going to write, what I was going to pitch, and I pitched. Now, I have connections. I should also mention this, ladies and gentlemen, before we continue. I have a lot of connections. I know a lot of people, but I made 3 very conscious choices. I would write articles. I'm not really picky about what I'm writing, but I'm focusing on writing and teaching kind of stuff, because I'm good at that stuff.
Yep.
Number 2, editing comic books, because I'd be good at that too. And it was proven because I've been quietly giving some advice to Rich Perotto with the Incontessi. That's where you should take the story and how it should go. Now, whether he uses all of it or not is irrelevant. the fact is I've already like played a big hand in the direction of where it goes, and it made sense. So I know I can do
Right.
that. And I love comics, and I love telling stories and all that stuff too. And also in the event I run into a comic I wouldn't be a fan of, I also have my built-in asshole tax. And it's always a good lesson to have when you freelance is always build yourself an asshole tax. Because not all your jobs are going to be glamorous. Not all of them will be. They don't have to be.
Yep.
But the trick is something like what you just mentioned is you don't want to resent ever doing a job with somebody. Right?
Yep.
And that's important. That's very important. And lastly, podcasting stuff. I'm doing some podcast work for a client, basically, mostly virtual assistant level stuff. But I mean, I'm doing a little bit of other things as well for them. Nothing big, nothing major, nothing glamorous, but it doesn't have to be, right?
Yep.
Right. I'm using the skills I love to use, and I'm doing them. I'm doing interviews like this every night, trying to become an affiliate on Twitch. Like and follow this channel if you like the content here and want to watch and listen to more. By the way, not plugging anything or anything like that. But if you can hear it, though, I've made very conscious decisions of what I'm pursuing as a freelancer.
Yeah.
And I've been rewarded for it with what I'm getting.
Exactly.
I'm not just going for anything willy-nilly in the dark. I'm now again, writing wise, I don't really have a problem writing about potatoes. Right? I might enjoy the challenge of figuring out how to write about potatoes. Right? That's not where I'm at right now. Now, that all said, I know like for me, I'm probably going to be best when I'm serving others with what I'm doing. So teaching something or some way in terms of communication. That's my strength. So everything I'm doing is, but if you hear it, there's a focus with what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Right? You, again, you're free. You can do whatever you want to do. Now, I don't think anybody watching you draw right now would ever say you suck. You're great. That is an amazing, badass pirate heroine. She a captain?
Was it? What's the second in command?
Commander. It depends on the ship.
Yeah, and then so she's second mate or something like that on the ship. The captain just gotta steer the boat, and she'll handle the rest. First mate. There you go.
There you go. I have Stuart, first mate. First mate. Okay, so that's a badass looking first mate. But here's what I'm going to say to you. Whatever direction you choose, you will succeed at. But like Mad Hatter said it best in Alice in Wonderland, if you have no direction you want to go, it doesn't matter which direction you choose. You're just going to go, right? It doesn't take you anywhere. Same thing. You pick a direction and just go for it, right? Even if it doesn't work out, okay? You discovered cybersecurity, right? You like things with stories. See, my deep suspicion with you is games, like video games. That's my deep suspicion with you, because it combines everything you've learned. It's combined everything you've learned so far, right? But again, I'm not gonna push you in the direction you don't want to do. What I am going to tell you though is what you need to do is choose a direction and let yourself go in that game. Just commit to it, whatever that is, and let yourself go. If that is doing art for clients and helping them with their stories, then advertise yourself like that and let that happen. And you'll find the right people will come your way. If I'm going to draw commissions of badass women all the time, there is always going to be a market for that. You will do well. I mean, you draw great women. You really, really do. Right? And you can do that. If you decide that I'm going to be the greatest cybersecurity programmer ever, you will be the greatest cybersecurity programmer ever, or at least pretty damn good. Right? Yeah. It really doesn't. But all of that requires a direction.
Yep.
So that is my advice to you, dear Ann. choose your direction and let yourself, and then trust yourself to go through the process. If you hate, and if you hate it, you can always quit.
Yeah. I do need to choose a direction, or like, it doesn't matter what direction, just a direction to go.
Yeah, that's it. That's my advice from me to you. Choose your
Yeah.
direction, and you will be just fine. And you'll find you'll start getting traction one way or the other. It sounds to me like you're like a boat that looks like all the pretty butterflies at sea. I can play with this butterfly and this butterfly and ooh, that butterfly.
Yeah. I
Right?
had this problem since I was in high school, you know. Like my art teacher, he was like, you're going like this. I'm trying to shoot you like this."
Yeah, because because it's for you. It's not about talent. You have talent. Like it's. I think anyone that's watching you right now will undoubtedly agree with me on this. You have talent. You're great at what you do. But give me a second here as I pick up the thing I dropped on the floor. But now, that doesn't mean you can't explore. I want to make this perfectly clear, right?
Yeah.
You can and learn and study and grow, and you should. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, okay, you study cybersecurity and you draw hot women. Or you code like nobody's business. And you study, anatomy so you can you can come up with your first barbarian girl video game. Really doesn't matter to me what you choose to do. Right?
Right.
Now, I mentioned video game because it combines everything it sounds like you've learned. Video games have the structure of order, building systems that work, that people can interact with, and you love storytelling.
Yeah.
What better medium that to have both of those things in there than something like that?
Right.
Right. That's now again. I'm not trying to push you in any direction. If you're saying video games, bleh, okay, fine. It doesn't have to be video games, right? But I just can see with all the skills you have, you enjoy order, you love systems and structure, but you love a little creativity too. So for you, that ideal career path should have both.
That's what I'm trying to do too, to like blend everything together, because I'm like, I don't see myself not drawing, but I know I enjoy, cybersecurity, and I did dedicate like a good 4 years to it, and it would make my parents very happy. That too, but then Masai, it's like it's a waste to not pursue my skill any further as well, in my opinion, on either path. So that's where I'm like, I'm just stuck. Now, in terms of video gaming, I thought about it. I just what I'm guilty of too is like that, not taking that first step to like cross over. Like even with digital stuff, right? Digital, I always say I admire people who can do digital art, because I'm scared of that big learning curve, and it means it takes more time, whereas I'm doing this and I'm already further along, and I can just keep going with it and further it, versus like having to go back in and study from scratch and be a novice, and I'm guilty of that, and that's where I stop myself.
So are you afraid of failure, or are you afraid of success?
Aren't they the same? Aren't they the same?
Not quite.
Okay, enlighten me, please.
So so failure, fear of failure is failure to live up to expectations.
Mhm.
Fear of success is having to live up to the expectations you set for yourself. Just like
Uh-huh.
one creates an imposter syndrome, that's fear of success. The other one can destroy your confidence. I can't do it. But the thing is, right? The thing is, we've all fallen off the bicycle, all of us, right?
Mhm.
So we fall off the bicycle. Well, you know what that feels like. Your ass is sore, and you get it back up, and you brush stuff off, and you can choose to try again, or you can choose to walk away. It doesn't really matter, right? You
Right.
didn't ride the bicycle. Now you ride the bicycle. Well, now it's like I can do it. Oh
Right.
shit, I can do it. That terrifies a lot of people, right?
Right.
Right. So in your case, there's a fear of discomfort, I think. You're comfortable doing what you've done so far, and honestly, you can still do it. You're great at it, and you shouldn't stop just because it's the um, how do I put this? It's you're good at it, and there will always be demand for this, right? Always. So I mean, you can do what you choose. However, and this is the big however,
Mhm.
right? I feel so. Final question where I sound like a therapist.
It's okay. I can take it.
Are you comfortable where you're at?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Because I'm comfortable because I know my traditional art, and it's become like second nature what my hands can do. Right? And, like, I can talk and I can draw with you and I can still do things, right? And no, in the sense that I've changed the subject of what I've been drawing. I've changed my style, I've changed medium, I've changed things where I am still challenged,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
No, it totally does.
So,
So,
like, I, I I've yet to have that, like, spark to totally change over to, like, digital or try digital. Gaming, I don't play games, but I enjoy the art. Like, my boyfriend played Sekiro.
oh, okay.
This game, that game is beautiful. The monsters are ugly, but the game overall is beautiful. And I was like, oh, I would love to build a world like that where people can just traverse in it and, interact. I love interaction with art. So gaming isn't far off. It's just like, oh, where do I start? Now all these people have all these programming, and, like, what's the latest programming to get on? How
Oh,
do I get this out? Things like that.
so I will throw this. So, would you like Dr. Josh's recommendations 101?
Yes.
Don't worry about the latest program. Just get
Uh-huh.
comfortable with a program. It doesn't matter what it is.
Uh-huh.
The file types are universal, not the
Oh,
programs themselves.
okay.
So TIFF, GIF, JPEG. So the file types are all the same no matter what the program you use. Now, obviously,
I
some interfaces are better than others, but really, it doesn't really matter where you start. What's important is that you start if that's what you want to do. I
right.
think the reason I suggested gaming is it seems like it's the best of all worlds. You want to tell stories that inspire people. If you really want to break all of that stuff down, everything you told me, you want to
Yep.
inspire people with the stories you tell with your art. And that's a
Yep.
wonderful thing. And you can do that on paper just as easily as you can do digitally. But if you want to use everything you have, all the skills you have, and you want to expand and grow, well, then you're going to have to play with digital at some point anyway,
Right.
right? Now, the
Right.
sooner you start, the less scary it's going to be. The longer
Right.
you wait, the longer you wait, the more frightening, the more daunting that will seem. Now,
Right.
you can definitely overcome it at any time you wish. You do have that ability. However, right? However, you have to be very honest about what you're doing and what you're accomplishing. And, for you, it all starts with the direction. I picked the gaming direction because it feels like it uses all your skills. It's not the only option. You can choose. There are other options. How you can do comics. You totally can do comics like by hand. All that means you just have to buy a scanner and run a scanning program, and you can do comics till the end of time. Or illustrated work for like young adult books, things of that nature. You can do that, right? If that's what you want.
Right.
While I do see you being very happy as a day job coding, I don't know if you'd be actually satisfied just coding. You're too creative a person for that. Oh no, the other picture that made me hungry.
I do have a deadline on it, so it's coming out. I am hungry too, by the way. I could eat all of it.
Yes. Nom, 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 nom.
But
But
yeah,
and by all means, I'll let you get. We'll wrap up soon, so you can go all in on this because we all have things to do. But as your friend, you just need to choose a direction. Whatever you choose to do, there's no wrong answer, right? Now, jealously, I want you to keep drawing because you're awesome. But not so jealously, as your friend, I'm going to say, what will make you happy? And don't be afraid of the expectations that come with it. You're talented enough to do anything you choose to do. Right? Anybody that's watching your work right now will look like Anita's an author. Anita, if you ever do a badass woman cover, this is she's definitely one of the better people I'd recommend. Romo, if you're still there, you know her. She knows she can do anything she wants to do. Then you gotta look at
I know Romo.
But the thing is, you have to choose. It doesn't mean you can't pursue other things as such, but you gotta make a decision. What's my passion, and what are my interests?
Right.
And you gotta chase your passion like you chase your boyfriend.
Huh. Right. Yes.
Okay. That I say it like that because you know the difference between me and you are friends.
Yep.
And I'm great, and I'm your buddy, and you'll hang out with me every time. But I'm not your boyfriend. Your boyfriend, you lust/love, whatever you feel about them, right? And that is your passion, and that is a priority, and that's the way it should be. I mean, I'm awesome, but I mean, I'm just your friend, right? And that's like life, right? Interest. It's always good to have interest.
Yeah.
Drawing is an interest of mine. I want to get better at it because I want to tell stories with it.
Right.
But writing's what I love. Having a big mouth and talking to people is what I love. So it'll never be the priority. It will never be the same priority. Now, art is what you love. You cannot help yourself doing it. So again, I can point you at a bunch of different directions. But ultimately for you, it just seems like, okay, you've got these talents. Just pick a direction, fly. And here's the beautiful thing about life. You can change your mind anytime you want to. Right?
Yes.
Right? Anytime you want. There's no rule. Tomorrow's a brand new day. Tomorrow, I'm going to decide she wants to sound like a pirate for a living. That'd be that's great. Hey, listen, I don't judge. Who can say you do it just right? You might get paid $1 million for it. Look at the people that voice act The Simpsons. You can tell Dan Castellaneta that he was going to make that kind of money voicing Homer Simpson. He'd have laughed at you in 1990. Right? You never know. Right?
Exactly.
Right? You never know. Right? But you get to make those choices. So
just got to make them.
You just make one choice. What's your passion? What are your interests? And it's okay to be wrong.
Yep.
I'm wrong all the time. I know it's hard to believe, but I am wrong all the time, right? So, right, and that's the thing, right? You got it. It's okay to make mistakes. It's true. With everything in life, like it's gonna happen. So I mean, might as well just own and embrace them, and just let yourself learn from them. If you can do that, you will find your way to your right path eventually, no matter how many mistakes you make.
And that's the thing. I think I am taking somewhat of a direction, but it's like slowly getting there. Like me learning to programming and hacking right now is just to improve that skill that I thought I didn't have and that I don't know unless I try, right? So, like
Yeah.
when I went to school, it was mostly writing and just putting together plans and theories and strategy and stuff like that. And then drawing wise, I'm taking on work for stories, like stuff where people give me more of like an environmental drawing versus like a character build up like that.
Mm-hmm.
I so it's just teaching me things that I think would propel me toward where I may be going next, and who knows yet where I'm going. And it might be gaming, and if I end up in gaming, guys, Josh made me do it.
That's right. That's right.
But
It's my
yeah.
fault. Blame me. How dare you make the next Studio Ghibli game? How dare you?
Oh, you shoot. No,
Right?
I don't dare French on their stuff. I would rather make my stuff. Like I do
I like
have I do have my own stories, and it could be a good game, or
that.
it could be a good comic book or whatever. So who
And,
knows? But
and on whatever you choose to do, I am going to be confident in your ability to do it because you can do it, no doubt about it. But and absolutely, and sometimes these things do take time. Like, look, I took a year. It's funny how quickly this so far, anyways. Freelancing has clicked this time around for me.
yeah,
Right, the first year I was spent trying to figure out what the hell I was doing. And
right, right.
in all fairness to you, here, and it's the flip side. This is me not. This is me going. Hey, I don't know everything that's going on in your life right now, right? Um, you could be just doing what I'm doing. That's just like slowly carving out, learning the things you need to learn to carve out that direction. And there's nothing wrong with being at that space either,
Yeah,
right? So
that's exactly where I feel like I'm at right now.
that
So it's
then
like,
okay.
yeah,
And there's nothing wrong with that stuff. So the only thing, so then my only then and then my advice to you then is just simply this, right? If it feels like you're kind of stuck right now, enjoy the process. Just
yeah.
instead of worrying about where you're at or where you're going, go just enjoy the process.
I'm
And
in the happening, not the happened. I'm in
yes,
the happening of it.
yes, exactly, exactly.
You know,
So
soon may development come.
what?
Yeah, I just bust out with shanty. Soon may development come to bring us sugar, tea, and rum.
Pirates. Hey, listen, listen. I would. You want me? Can I shift back to you? But not you're not your
Oh,
dog that's making me ridiculously hungry. Um,
why not?
why
Just
not?
stare at the perfectly bacon and eggs and a ramen bowl.
I, okay, so note to self: when I do decide to go to Hawaii, because my philosophy is really simple at this point, right? I figured this out. I'm gonna go anywhere I want to because that's just how I am. So when I do meet you in person, you're gonna take me to wherever this idea of this food place is that you based off of, and
This
I'll
is Japan. This is Japan, and like, well, more than Japan, it's like all over the world. Ghibli is all over the world. But if you want good Hawaiian food, sure, I'll take
yeah,
you.
done. right?
Be ready to gain a few pounds.
And I'll meet your amazing boyfriend at that time. It's like, hey, this is like, I was like, especially if you're doing video games, you'd be like, you can go to him. He made me do it, and I'll be like, please don't.
He's a shy guy. He wouldn't go after you. Like I'm the one that's like in the relationship. I'm the more outspoken and crazy. I'm the crazy one. You know how like in relationships you tend to have like the solid head where the voice of reason, and then you got the other one that's like a rocket shooting all over. I'm that rocket.
Oh, you're the rocket that's gonna push me to do great things. That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
But no, I bring this all up like when I do see you. Yeah, like we're definitely gonna hang out and do that stuff. But also, yes, big hug for probably like the first or second thing because you rock, you really do. And when I get to it, and I will get to it eventually, what's in front. At the very least, you get to read what's in front of me anyway, right? So what's in front of it. So, and also when we go off the air, I'll talk to you about like a crazy little, a fun little idea what I can do in the meantime. But the thing I just want to say is, yeah, just keep enjoying the process. And if you want to sound like in the pirate chanties, that's cool. We'll do bad pirate chanties together. It'll be great. All right. But no. Yeah. Like good luck. I wish you nothing but the best. Whatever road you do end up choosing, you will tell great stories when you're ready to. Like you really will. And it's going to be amazing to see. And I'll be like, I knew that girl when, right? And then
he made me do it.
That's right. I'll be like, he made me do it, and very quietly, be like, how did I make her? I don't know. Like like no one makes that girl do anything she doesn't want to. So that's all I say there. But we gotta do this again at some point down the road. I really enjoy hanging with you. So
same.
So how often are you doing Twitch now? Like how often do you plan on doing Twitch?
I wanted it to be every Tuesday and Thursday, but going forth, I gotta see and check up. Like I thought I had like an outline going, and then things happen in life, so things gonna change. But when I get it down, you see it up there. You see it, the pattern. But for now, the next one, I hope it to be Thursday.
Okay.
If everything goes well, Thursday.
So for those people wondering. Twitch.tv/what?
ONK97.
That's right. That is on, ladies and gentlemen. Go and follow her on Twitch. Right. Whenever you watch this, she is great at what she does. I'm excited for the day we do end up working together. And on that note, anything else you got coming up that's really cool that you'd like to plug, promote, anything like that?
You can find it on Facebook, which is under my name, ANH, and then space BU. So phonetically, that's Alpha Nancy Hotel space Victor Union. I worked it on the phone before, so that's how I had to do it.
So like that, except with like, are you sure it's space or underscore?
Oh shoot! There's a website thing. Oh wait, hold on. I will paste it. There's more. There's a website.
Okay. Just send it to me so I can actually like do it.
Okay, hi there. Okay, is this find your answer now? Wait, is this? Wait.
I love it.
How do I type this?
I don't know. I don't know what you're doing. If I knew what you were doing, I like. Where are you?
No, that's not it. I'm like, there's this chat box with us. There is a private message. Where is the public message?
It's private message to me. It's private message.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you go. I had just learned 2 programs today.
There you go. That would explain why I couldn't do it. It's and.vu. Okay.
I don't know what's the number behind, but Facebook had that whole algorithm.
Facebook is an interesting monster. And that's all I'm going to say about Facebook. There you go, guys. That's it.
Yeah.
There.
And my Instagram is ONK97 too. So you ONK97, that's my handle. So find me on Instagram like that, and you can see more of my work. But the latest stuff I did was Nike What the shoes, and that was actually inspired by my brother too. And yeah, it's for a goat DIY contest, so I did that. Other than that, I have the draw and bid that I try to do each month with Mog and Mail on Facebook, so you can find that there. I am doing commissions at the time, so like if you're interested, I am doing Magic the Gathering card commission for a private client. So this is one of the cards. Can you see it? So like I said, more environmental work that I'm doing.
So I'm gonna guess. Let's see. Underworld Dreams.
It's an underworld laboratory. It's a brain geyser card.
Oh, okay.
So they're experimenting on the brain.
Okay.
This is based on the description.
So you're going like classics. Like Brain Guys is an old school finisher in Magic the Gathering. My all-time favorite card in the set is Wheel of Fortune.
Oh, okay. I'm doing this based on because I've never played. So I'm basing it off of just the description from the client himself, and like it's crazy what this guy gave me to do. It's like.
So that is. It's green. I know that. It's definitely a green card.
It's a regrowth card.
Oh, regrowth. Okay. Yeah.
Dead body, decay, fruits, children might have buried all these people. Who knows? And so I'm doing things like that.
That's really cool.
Other than that,
and the guy's an old school fan too, so you let you reinterpret the cards, which I think is really, really neat.
Yes, and one last thing before, I'm so sorry. I do like promoting friends and local creators. So I went to a art gallery after the Van Gogh show. I went to the Van Gogh show. It's nice, but so this is one of the local creator on the island. His name is Lorenzo Trinidad. I'm gonna post about this later on and tag him on my Facebook and Instagram, so you guys will see it there. But this is a a cover that I did for his upcoming story that he wants to publish. It's Thugs Assassins. There you go, English. But he got it metal printed, and this metal print is made by one of our friends, Jacob Stem. That guy also has his own story in comic right now. Lorenzo did the frame. So yeah, I'll post all that information on my Facebook and Instagram so you can find these guys. But yeah, he had me do this commission cover for him, and yeah, it's pretty cool how he had it all packaged and well.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's really cool. And as you can see, it's really good, like really, really good. So that's all I'm going to say as far as that goes. And that will do it for this episode of Just Joshing. I hope you guys enjoyed the pirate theme for the last 3 nights. On is, I have to say, great. She'll be back, I'm sure, at some point. She's probably like chastising me for a story I said. It's like, why did you make me do this? Why did you make me do this? It's just laughing at me now. It's like, but I mean, but in all seriousness, folks, Anna is very cool. I was definitely thrilled to meet her this year. It was definitely cool. I'm happy that she, for whatever reason, is a fan to me, and vice versa. So it's kind of cool. So on that note, if you guys enjoyed what you watched and listened to, hit the follow button for the Just Joshing podcast. I'm on YouTube as Joshua Pentolaresco. Alice Zero, the first Alice story, is nominated for the Elgin Award this year. And the sequel, Alice 1, comes out November 1st, written by yours truly, illustrated by Kenzie Carr. I am a freelancer. You can hire me to write your articles, do podcasts, or edit your comics. All right, definitely do that. And beyond all that, guys, stay inspired, keep shining in the dark. I will be back tomorrow. proper interview, no drawing this time. It'll be fun. Peace. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. That one's done.